Innovation with spirituality. That is my topic today. So let's delve into it. Over 80% of the original S&P 500 companies no longer exist today. There are a variety of reasons for it. This talk emphasizes the impermanence of molecular business models and the importance of visionary leadership and adaptability for long term survival and impact. Spirituality transcends religious norms, focusing on universal wisdom rather than theology or philosophy. It does not conform to doctrines but aligns with the power of love. Innovation and creativity are deeply connected to spirituality. In a creative enterprise, spirituality can provide clarity, purpose, and ethical grounding. Take, for instance, divine engagement is an ancient lifestyle practiced by Indian mystics who made significant contributions to humanity across various fields. These include Ayurveda, the traditional medicine, Kama Sutra by Vatsyayana, mathematical concepts like zero and infinity, Vedic astrology, Vedantic philosophy, temple architecture, and classical music, dance. See, all of these are rooted in mystical origins. The West often repackages Eastern spirituality like martial arts and yoga and tantra and meditation, Ayurveda, for commercial gain. Instead of merely packaging these practices, the suggestion here is to genuinely explore their deep rooted mysteries and find a way to integrate these mysteries earnestly into our endeavors in the West and our lifestyles. In India, mystics continue to guide entrepreneurs, architects, and creators. Musicians, dancers, and artists traditionally learn from gurus who are mystics. Traditional medicines practiced by mystics and their disciples remains influential in treating lifestyle ailments and geriatric care even today. These traditions have persisted throughout India for thousands of years. In India, a sacred covenant between the divine and mystics has driven their remarkable timeless contributions to humanity. See, in Christianity, Jesus expanded this concept, making the divine engagement or the sacred covenant accessible to anyone, regardless of religious affiliation. So I present an old idea of Jesus as a fresh approach called theistic activism. It's new because churches haven't defined or put the doctrines around it and tried to teach it to the seculars before. It is rooted in the words of Jesus. The Son can do nothing by himself. He only does what he sees the Father as doing, for the Son does whatever the Father does. This is theistic activism. The divine nature of Jesus often overshadows his humanity, creating a perceived gap between his capabilities and ours. However, viewing Jesus as both God and man offers a profound perspective for Christians. His life exemplifies the essence of Christian living, challenging us to emulate his actions in our daily lives. Remarkably, Jesus didn't claim exclusivity to his abilities. He boldly stated that his followers could achieve even greater feats. See, theistic activism isn't passive. It demands active engagement on three fronts. Number one, we need to get ourselves ready to notice the actions of God, the will of God. Secondly, observe God's work without bias. Third, use our minds to process our observations. In other words, to synthesize and turn them into tangible creations. In other words, manifested creations. By embracing this active role, we unlock amazing possibilities. Think about the exciting new ideas and groundbreaking inventions that could emerge in the future. Consider the innovative systems we might be able to create and the important choices and policies we could influence for the betterment of society. It is entirely possible that our approaches to leadership and educational practices could evolve significantly as a result of theistic activism. Many people think materialism simply means buying too much stuff, but the idea goes much deeper with roots stretching back thousands of years in philosophy. In philosophy, materialism rests on two main claims. The first one, physical matter is the most basic thing in nature. Everything, including our thoughts and feelings, comes from different type of matter interacting. And the second one is nothing exists outside the physical world. Materialist ideas have shaped many schools of thought and theories. They suggest that the ideas and beliefs are structured and connected as the physical world they try to represent. Materialism laid the groundwork for classical physics and the influential Newtonian theories. However, modern physics pushes our understanding beyond what we typically think of matter as matter. It tells us that the basic building blocks of matter aren't tiny particles anymore, but flowing, fluid like things called quantum fields. We have been observing matter without consideration to what is making matter as matter. See, quantum physics introduces the idea of wave particle duality. This concept shows that particles can act like waves too. The universe isn't made of standalone matter, it also includes the energy and wave like features of the quantum field, which guides how particles interact. This energy works with matter in ways that hint at a built in smarts, adding to the universe's complexity. The deep understanding of matter and energy from quantum physics makes us rethink the basics of how we see our enterprises. In the realm of spiritual discourse, we often describe the powerful dichotomy known as manifest and the unmanifest. This concept is essential for grasping the complexities of our existence. So let's go a little bit more into manifest and the unmanifest. At its core, matter represents what is visible and tangible. It encompasses everything we can see, touch, and interact with our physical world. This includes objects, people, and the environment around us. Even the systems we deal with in our businesses, they are organized in a molecular order without consideration, for the other side, which is the unmanifest part of the molecules. In contrast, waves symbolize the unmanifest. This aspect is intangible and often eludes our direct sensory perceptions. It represents the underlying energies and forces that shape our reality but are not immediately observable. Instead, true growth involves nurturing the unmanifest aspects of our being. These components not only give rise to the manifest world, but also expand our awareness of the unmanifest. Let's explore the unmanifest within ourselves. See, our beings possess hidden aspects that often go unnoticed. Consider the life force, the life within us. Consider our soul. These parts of us usually remain unclear until we face life threatening situations. This oversight occurs because our minds tend to focus, they are trained to focus mainly on the physical world, seeking sensory experiences that link us to a tangible existence as reality. That is how our mind is trained. Yet, it's strange that our mind, a key tool for understanding our surroundings, is itself an unmanifest part of our being. Our knowledge is also an unmanifest. Despite our efforts to shape it around the material molecular world and organized in a connected relative manner, it still is unmanifest. The concept of God represents the ultimate unmanifest being, lacking physical form. When we say we are made in God's image and likeness, we are not referring to our bodies, but our unmanifest qualities that mirror the divine nature. Our physical forms aren't the complete picture of our God's image. Rather, it is our unmanifest aspects, like our consciousness and spirit, that truly aligns with the image and likeness of God. We must recognize and embrace the unmanifest parts of our existence, which are crucial to our self identity and understanding of the world around us. These hidden elements shape who we are and how we perceive reality. Meditation is the gateway to the realization of unmanifest. Let us discuss that and get it out of the way. The meditation I teach is not simply about using mindfulness as a technique to focus on a specific object, such as visualizing a blue light or paying attention to the present moment. Instead, I offer an advanced form of meditation aimed at achieving self realization. To reach a state of pure observation, which remains untouched by the distractions of our imaginations, it is essential to move beyond the inherent limitations that come with conventional mindfulness. This journey allows us to connect with a profound unmanifested reality of our existence, which is our spirit. This spirit encompasses a deep, intrinsic wisdom that resides within each of us. This connection is achieved through the dedicated practice of pure observation. The essence of wisdom does not fit into a structure that is easily understandable or readily grasped by our perceptive minds. Instead, it possesses a level of abstraction and boundlessness akin to the vastness of the sky. See, Vedas articulate the concept of creation as the transformative process in which unmanifest gradually evolves into a manifested reality. This idea aligns closely with the principles of modern physics, particularly the notion of quantum fields transitioning into matter. This perspective suggests that through this sacred process, the unmanifest things that exist only in potential or as ideas are transformed into manifest reality, which is the world we can see and experience. When Jesus speaks about the process of seeing what God is doing, he is highlighting the importance of observing the unmanifest as it begins to take shape and evolve into something tangible and substantial, even before it is fully realized in the physical world. His words serve as a profound invitation for us to engage actively in the ongoing development of creation. I do not focus on simply improving the quality of our material existence by enhancing our minds through the practice of spirituality. Instead, my emphasis lies in how we can reduce our attention on the aspects of our consciousness that are visible and manifested. This shift allows us to immerse ourselves fully in the realm of the unmanifest, which is a deeper, more profound state of being. To truly put this into practice, we must explore the innermost parts of our beings. This exploration enables us to tap into the vast reservoir of wisdom that God has placed within each of us. By doing so, we can become co creators alongside God, participating in the divine process of creation. So let's see how we are going to implement this. In spirituality, the concept of quantum field is often equated with the unmanifest aspects of our existential reality. This idea is also referred to as energy and consciousness. Consciousness itself is both humanistic and universal in nature. When Jesus speaks the words, love our neighbor, he does not limit the interpretation of neighbor to just another human being. Instead, this profound mystery encompasses every form of universal consciousness that has been created. However, in the realm of spirituality, love stands as the sole source of relativity and connectivity, linking our individual consciousness to the broader universal consciousness. Furthermore, love is not merely defined and categorized emotion that belongs to us alone. It is spontaneous manifestation of God and the Spirit that abides within us. The doctrinal church often interprets this statement to mean that our physical body is the image and likeness of God, when it says we are created in the image and likeness of God. God, in contrast, is not made of matter. He exists as the absolute unmanifested consciousness, transcending the physical realm. Even within our bodies, we experience the constant cycle of matter. Things that perish, new matter is created daily through the workings of consciousness. Our consciousness, therefore, is the manifestation of divine consciousness reflecting a deep spiritual truth. Well, our soul can be understood as separated consciousness that embodies the image and likeness of God Himself. To put it another way, the principles described in quantum mechanics regarding the separated particles can be likened to the workings of our soul. The mechanics of our soul mirror the activities of divine consciousness. Thus, when we observe the actions and thoughts of our soul, we are in essence witnessing the activities of God as they are intended for us. This understanding sheds light on the profound mystery of what Jesus was expressing when he stated, "I only see what the Father is doing." Jesus was not merely reaching out to heavens, rather, he was deeply attuned to the observations of his own soul. It is not something new. Saint Teresa of Avila dedicated a significant amount of her writing to exploring the profound practices of prayer and meditation. She provided the insights on how individuals can connect with their inner selves through these spiritual exercises. Meditation, in particular, serves to accelerate this deeply personal experience. When we delve into the depths of our soul, we are not merely attempting to identify structured and progressive steps that can be easily translated into a tangible reality. Instead, we are engaging in the observation of the absolute unmanifest nature of creation, which exists in the early stages of its evolution towards becoming a manifested reality. Through the repeated observations and reflections, we harness the power of synthesis within our minds, even utilizing mindfulness and mindful meditation to piece together our insights into a reality that can be manifested. Following this process, we then engage the willfulness of our ego, which plays a crucial role in transforming these insights into a concrete manifested reality. This journey is not about understanding, but also about actively participating in the creation of our own experiences and realities. Timeless creation or a system must communicate emotions, especially love. It is essential for such a system to embody a consciousness that is continually evolving, striving to reach a state of full development. It is important to note that matter in its basic form lacks consciousness. For example, a truly effective system must inherently possess self-sustainable mechanisms that allow for consumption, digestion, immunity, and the elimination of obsolete components. Additionally, it should also have the creativity to regenerate these dead components, integrating and activating them so they can function seamlessly and efficiently. Consumption plays a major role in the creative process, in the systems we create. See, creative elements must draw from nature to obtain the necessary nutrients and sustenance. Nature does not simply supply these nutrients to the created elements. When we design a functional system, for instance, it is vital to ensure that it is capable of consumption rather than relying on external feeding. Artificial intelligence can be developed to mirror these dynamics within the solutions we create. In the meanwhile, creators and innovators have the opportunity to connect with the realized mystics who can unveil the theistic activities and provide valuable guidance throughout the implementation process to their disciples, just as they do in India. This collaboration can lead to profound insights and transformative experiences for those involved. Moreover, anyone who feels inspired by this concept is warmly invited to delve deeper into the subject by reading my forthcoming book, Ancient Wisdom and Modern Leadership: Insights for Timeless Innovation and Success. If you elect to embark on this enlightening journey with me, please visit supremerealization.org. The realization is spelled with a Z, so supremerealization.org.